Everything you think you know about the One Ring is wrong. It wasn't Sauron's greatest creation, it was his greatest theft. The entire concept, the very soul of the Rings of Power, was stolen from a tragedy that unfolded millennia before Frodo was born. This changes the entire story of the Lord of the Rings. Welcome back to our Silmarillion deep dive. Today we uncover the First Age catastrophe that gave Sauron the blueprint for ultimate power, and how its echoes nearly destroyed Middle-earth all over again. To understand the ring, we must first understand the light it was meant to extinguish. Long before he was the Dark Lord of Mordor, Sauron was a lieutenant, a servant of the first Dark Lord, Morgoth. And in that service, he witnessed something breathtaking and terrible: the creation of the Silmarils. These three jewels, crafted by the elf Fëanor, captured the very light of the two trees of Valinor. They were not just objects of beauty, they were vessels of divine, unmarred light. And Morgoth coveted them above all else. He stole them, plunging the world into an age of war and sorrow. Sauron watched. He learned. He saw how an object could contain a power greater than itself, and how that object could drive nations to ruin. But here's where everything falls apart for Sauron's original plan. After the War of Wrath, when Morgoth was finally cast out, the Silmarils were lost. One to the earth, one to the sea, and one to the sky. The ultimate objects of power were gone. Sauron, now on his own, needed a new plan. He couldn't create light, so he would master the wills of those who remembered it. He saw the elven smiths of Eregion, descendants of Fëanor's people, still yearning for the lost beauty of the elder days. And he saw his opportunity. He would help them make rings, lesser echoes of the great jewels, to preserve their realms. But his lesson from the Silmarils was clear. The true power lay not in many beautiful things, but in one thing that could control all others. Let's analyze the theft. Fëanor put a part of his own spirit, his Fëa, into the Silmarils. They were bound to his life and his will. Sound familiar? Sauron's great innovation, or rather, his great corruption, was to apply this same principle to an instrument of domination. The One Ring isn't just a magic band. It contains a vast portion of Sauron's own native power, his essence, poured into it. Just as the light of the trees was in the Silmarils. But while the Silmarils were acts of creation and preservation, the ring was an act of tyranny and theft. He even replicated the addictive, all-consuming desire the Silmarils provoked. Think of Boromir's sudden, violent lust for it. Think of Galadriel's terrifying vision of what she could become if she claimed it. This isn't random magic. It's a dark mimicry of the Oath of Fëanor, which drove elves to murder and kinslaying for a taste of that captured light. What nobody realized was that the ring's greatest weakness, the very flaw that allowed it to be destroyed, was also stolen from the First Age. The Silmarils were indestructible by any hand or force in Middle-earth. They could only be broken by the power of their origins. One was burned by the fiery heart of the earth. One was drowned in the deep ocean. One was set in the heavens. Their destruction required a return to the primal elements. The One Ring, Sauron's mockery of this, had the same vulnerability. It could not be unmade by any conventional forge, any dragonfire, or any weapon of war. It had to be returned to the element of its creation, the volcanic fires of Mount Doom, the very place where Sauron's will first forged it. He built his own weakness into his master plan because he was blindly following a template from a more profound age. This connection explains so much about the key players. Galadriel isn't just a random elf lord, she is a survivor of the First Age, a witness to the tragedy of the Silmarils. She saw the all-consuming obsession firsthand. When Frodo offers her the ring, her refusal isn't just wisdom, it's trauma. She knows this story. She's seen it end in fire and blood. Elrond, too, carries this ancient memory. His father, Eärendil, sails the heavens with a Silmaril on his brow. The ring is, to them, a grotesque parody of the sacred jewels of their youth. Even Frodo's final failure at the cracks of doom mirrors the First Age. Just as the last 2 Silmarils were stolen and lost by the sons of Fëanor in an act of violent desperation, the ring is ultimately claimed not by the hero, but by a wretched, obsessed creature who falls into the fire with his precious. The narrative symmetry is chilling. But this raises a terrifying new question. If the ring is a corrupted Silmaril, what does that make its bearer? Frodo isn't just carrying a weapon, he is carrying a condensed, malignant history. The weight of the ring isn't just its physical evil. It's the weight of 6,000 years of compounded sin, starting with Morgoth's original theft. Every time it whispers, it's using a playbook written in the Elder Days. This reframes the entire quest. It's not just a mission to destroy a tool, it's an attempt to break a cyclical curse that began with the first Dark Lord. And suddenly, the final confrontation makes a new, profound sense. The Witch King, Sauron's greatest servant, falls not to a man but to a woman and a hobbit, beings outside the old, grim narratives of the First Age. The Silmarils were fought over by kings, heroes and gods. Their story is one of titans. The ring's story ends with the small, the humble, breaking the pattern. Mount Doom isn't just a volcano, it's an altar. And the destruction of the ring isn't just an explosion, it's an exorcism of the last, lingering shadow of the First Age's greatest tragedy. So, the One Ring is more than Sauron's soul. It is Sauron's plagiarism. It is his attempt to rewrite the myth of the Silmarils with himself as the author and god. He saw the ultimate objects of beauty and light, and all he could imagine was turning their principle into an engine of control. In the end, The Lord of the Rings is the story of how the evil of a bygone age almost found a new body. How a ghost of Morgoth's ambition, wearing Sauron's shape, nearly won. And it is the story of how the most unlikely people in Middle-earth finally closed the book on a cycle of doom that began when an elf prince crafted 3 perfect jewels. The First Age never truly ended. Its grief, its obsessions, and its wars of possession bled into every subsequent age. The ring was the final concentrated symptom of that ancient sickness. By carrying it to Mount Doom, Frodo and Sam didn't just walk to Mordor. They walked back through time, to the root of the darkness. And in its destruction, they didn't just defeat Sauron. They finally laid to rest the long, cold shadow of the Silmarils, allowing the Fourth Age, the Age of Men, to truly begin, free from the poisoned legacy of the First. If this deep dive into the hidden connections of Tolkien's world has you looking at The Lord of the Rings in a whole new light, then you need to subscribe. Because next time, we'll ask an even more dangerous question. What if the Balrog in Moria wasn't just a random monster? What if it was a direct, personal message from the First Age, specifically for one member of the Fellowship? Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss part 6. Let me know your thoughts on Sauron's greatest theft in the comments below.